New tonight, a 6 News investigation into a heated dispute between homeowners and developers who plan to build apartments close by.
Residents of a Southwest Omaha neighborhood got their first look at the proposal, and only our Mike McKnight was there for the contentious meeting.
The woods next to Harvey Oaks may not be the view some homeowners will see in the future.
A 5-story building right back here. It's going to be right back here in my backyard. So you're going to have whatever noise you're going to have out. You're going to have the cars coming out of there all the time. 2 buildings used for medical and business offices on 144th Street near Center are scheduled to be torn down and replaced by 200 apartments with parking garage.
That's exactly what I'm going to be staring at. So what are we doing about noise? What are we doing about lights?
Todd Sandwick among several dozen Harvey Oaks homeowners telling the developers their concerns, including traffic, with a center island on 144th making the apartment complex entrance one-directional. And because of this center island, tenants who would be approaching the apartment complex from the south cannot turn left into it. And so opponents of the project say most of them will drive up to Harvey Oaks Avenue where a sign says U-turn permitted. And they feel that's exactly what most of those tenants will do.
Who's doing the traffic studies here? Because it's bad. We just saw 2 accidents yesterday when we were walking.
But the developer's attorney doesn't foresee any traffic issues.
I think that this being on an arterial street and being in the quarter-mile corridor of West Center Road that allows for unlimited number of apartment units, that traffic really shouldn't be a concern.
Called the Kingsley, the apartments would rent from $1,200 a month for a studio to $2,150 for a 3-bedroom.
As we discussed with the group, there are several items that we'll be working with city planning to resolve as we prepare for the next steps of the development process.
Like keeping at least a 60-foot landscape buffer
Right through the cone.
between apartment property and neighbors like Bonita Haywood.
I just talked to them and I told him I was really serious about this, and I said I did not think he should be able to go into any of those buffers.
Neighbors say the office and medical building's owner, Dr. Clark Stevens, attempted to redevelop the property with a ballroom that fell through about 20 years ago. But he's been involved in several other real estate ventures since the 1980s, and the proposed Kingsley could be the crown jewel.
I've always been a good neighbor.
But many in the Harvey Oaks neighborhood say they won't see it that way when he builds a 200-unit apartment complex and garage so close to them.
It doesn't need to be that size.
On your side near 144th and Center, Mike McKnight, 6 News.
The developers say the apartments fit the city's master plan and they don't need a zoning change. Only a conditional use permit is required to start the project this fall, with completion in about 2 years.
By staying within community commercial zoning, the planning board has the final say on the proposal, with a hearing scheduled in April. The city council would not get to vote on it.